The letter arrived on a Tuesday, stained with coffee and smelling faintly of bureaucracy, demanding $7,900 for community lighting enhancements. I laughed until I realized they weren't kidding. My name is Tom Hargrove, a single dad and mechanic who'd just moved to Karen Heights, a cookie-cutter suburb promising peace but delivering a masterclass in petty tyranny. The HOA, led by the iron-fisted Barbara Klein, had a reputation for squeezing residents dry, but this bill felt like a shakedown straight out of a mob movie. Little did I know, it was the opening act of a betrayal so audacious it'd unravel the entire neighborhood. Karen Heights was the kind of place where lawns were measured with rulers and smiles hid knives. I'd bought my fixer-upper hoping for a fresh start after my wife passed, a place where my daughter, Ellie, could ride her bike without dodging city chaos. The HOA's welcome packet was thicker than a phone book, filled with rules about everything from fence heights to approved mailbox colors. I shrugged it off. Live and let live, right? Wrong. Barbara Klein, the HOA president, was a walking power trip in pearls, her voice dripping with the kind of condescension that made you feel small for existing. She'd stop by unannounced, eyeing my unmowed lawn like it was a personal insult. Standards, Mr. Hargrove, she'd say, her smile sharper than a tack. The $7,900 bill was for new streetlights, supposedly installed to elevate property values. I wasn't buying it. My street already had lights, sleek, modern ones that hummed softly at night. I'd seen them go up last spring, crews in federal vests working late under orange cones. Curious, I dug through public records at the county office. That's when I found it, a federal grant covering 100% of the lighting project. Not a dime came from the HOA. Barbara was charging us for lights we'd already paid for with our taxes. My blood boiled. This wasn't just greed, it was theft dressed in a blazer. I confronted Barbara at the next HOA meeting, a sterile affair in the community center where residents sipped weak coffee and avoided eye contact. These lights were federally funded, I said, holding up the grant paperwork. The room went still. Barbara's smile didn't falter, but her eyes turned to ice. "You're mistaken, Tom," she said, her voice smooth as poison. "The grant was partial. The rest came from our budget, which you'd know if you read the bylaws." The crowd murmured, unsure. I pressed harder, waving the documents. "It's right here, full funding, no HOA contribution." That's when she played her trump card. "Perhaps you're confused because you're behind on dues," she said, loud enough for everyone to hear. Gasps. I wasn't behind, but the lie stuck like tar. Enter Sarah, my neighbor, a quiet paralegal who'd been watching the HOA's moves like a hawk. She'd moved to Karen Heights to escape drama, only to find it thriving under Barbara's reign. Sarah had her own run-ins with the HOA fines for her unapproved rose bushes, threats over her dogs barking. She'd been digging too, and what she found was dynamite, emails between Barbara and a shady contractor, hinting at kickbacks for fake projects. Sarah slipped me the files one night, her hands shaking. "This could ruin her," she whispered. "Or us." We planned our move carefully. The next HOA meeting was our shot. Sarah would present the emails while I laid out the grant evidence. The night before, someone slashed my tires. A coincidence? I didn't think so. Ellie was scared, asking why we couldn't just pay and move on. "Because it's wrong," I told her, hating how adult she sounded at 12. The meeting room was packed, the air thick with tension. Barbara stood at the podium, all smiles, until Sarah stood up. "I have proof," Sarah said, her voice steady despite her trembling hands. She projected the emails on the wall, Barbara promising a contractor extra for discretion. The room erupted. Residents shouted, some at Barbara, others at us for stirring trouble. Barbara didn't flinch. Forgeries, she declared, her voice cutting through the chaos. Planted by disgruntled residents who can't handle community standards. She pointed at me. Like Mr. Hargrove, who's been dodging dues and now wants to dodge responsibility. The crowd split, half booed her, half glared at me. Then she dropped the bomb. Sarah's been fined repeatedly for violations. She's no Hiroshima troublemaker. Sarah's face crumpled. I felt the room slipping away. Barbara was a master manipulator, turning our evidence into a personal vendetta. The confrontation spilled outside, under the very streetlights we were fighting over. Barbara faced us, her clipboard like a shield. You're out of your depth, she hissed. This community thrives because of me. Sarah snapped back, it thrives despite you. I stepped between them, my voice low but shaking. You stole from us, Barbara. From families, from kids like my daughter. For a moment, her mask slipped, just a flicker of guilt. Then it was gone. Prove it in court, she said, turning away. We did. Sarah and I filed a class action lawsuit with other residents, armed with the grant documents and emails. The case dragged on, draining our savings and patience. Ellie stopped riding her bike, sensing the neighbors' whispers. Sarah's roses were vandalized. But we pushed forward, fueled by the principle that no one should profit off lies. The courtroom was packed when the verdict came. Barbara was guilty of fraud. The HOA was ordered to refund every cent, plus damages. Cheers erupted, but I felt hollow. Barbara's sentence was like community service, a fine. She'd already sold her house and vanished, leaving the neighborhood fractured. The streetlights still glow, a bitter reminder of what we lost. Trust was the real casualty. Neighbors turned on neighbors, friendships soured. Ellie asked me once, was it worth it, Dad? I didn't have an answer. The money came back, but the community didn't. Sarah moved away, unable to stand the sideways glances. I stayed, hoping to rebuild, but every HOA meeting feels like a ghost town. The fight exposed more than Barbara's scam, it laid bare how power can twist good intentions into greed. We thought we were saving Karen Heights, but maybe we just tore it apart. What do you think, was our fight for justice worth the cost, or did we destroy more than we saved? Share your thoughts on where the line falls between standing up and tearing down.